What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is the Jussie Smollett complete breakdown and why he did it. Now, I want to thank all of my true fans that support my work at patreon.com/Jaymoorereviews. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoyed the video, click the like. Let's get into it. Now, this is how prosecutors say Jussie allegedly staged his own attack, and they arrested him. He went in and turned himself in, and while in custody he kind of gave a statement, and I got access to that statement.
That night,
Here
Jussie.
it is.
Y'all better not try it. I did not hire them brothers to jump me. It was cold out there in the street. Fought back by grabbing their cheeks. I can't deny it. I got excited when them Africans grabbed me. They were swollen over 6 feet. All I saw was fist and knees. I'm not a fighter or a gay liar, just an actor from TV. They use rope, some mask, and bleach. Like me, they thought shit was sweet. I am a rider, not the horse concert, talking about riding that deep. Not from France, but I like the wheat. Not to rise you, but I got the cookie.
Now, once he was there, they break down that he was arrested for filing a false police report. We all knew he was lying. Everybody that didn't just take his statement at face value. We all knew what this sounded like and what it was. I've made other videos detailing why I thought it was a lie. I didn't know how deep the lie went, but we knew. And the police, using surveillance video, including the taxi cameras, Uber receipts, and all of that stuff, they built the case around this actor, and they found out and debunked his story. It was pretty easy for them. And so on January 22nd, they allege everything began when he received that letter with the white powder that was basically aspirin, and then they started to build their case, and he was upset that it didn't get the traction in the press that he wanted. And then he sent the text message to Ambabolo and about him when would he leave to Nigeria. And so once he said that, he asked when he was coming back and all of that. This is his mug shot on the wall of fame. It said, "I might need your help on the low." Get out of here. This was a horrible plan. And later that afternoon, he met up at their apartment, and they had discussed it, and he was mad about how that racist letter was handled, and he didn't get the attention he wanted, and so he wanted to step it up. And so in that car ride, he wanted to stage an attack, and it appeared like they assaulted him, and at their apartment, he wanted to, get down in the details with them in the apartment. Okay, he wanted to, iron it out, and so he told the men that he wanted the attack to happen on the night of January 28th. Don't hurt him too bad. Placed the rope around, pour gasoline on him, and yell MAGA country. He just is a fool. And so next thing you know, before departing, he had gave the men $100 bill to pay for the supplies. These fools didn't even have enough money to buy the supplies, and so this whole plan was dumb from the start. And so on January 22nd, he went and did a run through about what's going to happen, took them to the scene. They even somewhat rehearsed it, and it was supposed to happen at around 10 p.m. And so he also instructed the men don't bring their cell phones, and he pointed out a camera that should capture everything. And then he wrote a personal check for $3,500. He didn't even pay them in cash, and they were so stupid not to ask for it. And he made it out to them exactly, wrote their names on the check, as you can see, and left a huge paper trail for the cops to follow. And then the brothers went and purchased the supplies, including the red MAGA hats, the rope, and then they deposited the check in the bank. And so then they had pushed the plan back because he was late arriving from the airport. And so when his flight finally arrived about 20 minutes later, he called them up and said the attack is time for it to happen. And so what they did is they assumed to move as fast as they could, but these fools didn't even have cars, so they had to call an Uber. Okay, and then after that, they got a taxi. Once they got a couple 3 blocks away, got a taxi to take him the rest of the way. And then he had left his apartment at 1:30, and 15 minutes later arrived at the location for the fake beatdown. Okay, and then once he was there, because they was waiting for him because he took too long, they ended up, the attack took about 45 seconds. Even a witness said that just parked her car. She didn't hear any yelling. Okay, even though he said he was screaming and yelling and fighting and stuff. And so then the brothers, after the incident took place, fled the scene running on foot, and then took a taxi back to their apartment. I mean, how stupid could these 3 people be? I didn't think they could be that dumb in this day and age. Haven't they ever watched Goodfellas or New Jack City? And then we see around 2:30, his manager called the cops, and when they saw he still had this rope around his neck, that didn't make any sense. Then they see that he called the brothers back later that evening to discuss how everything went down. We see Lee Daniels and people supported him. February 13, when the brothers returned from the U.S., they were detained at the airport, and the same day police executed the search warrant to their apartment because they already was waiting on them. They already had all this information for them, and so they were just caught from the jump. And then Smollett on 20th was charged with filing a false police report, which is a felony in Illinois. He turned himself in and then had to release himself on $100,000 bond. Okay, right then is when the black community threw him back. He got cut. Okay, $100,000 bond, for you that don't know, that's $10,000 he had to put up. Okay, and how they cracked this case is from all this video footage. People think Chicago is so bad. Downtown Chicago is one of the safest places you can go. A lot of police presence, cameras everywhere. It's not like the hood where people are getting shot. He was arrested and charged for providing a false police report. They found out that he paid him $3,500, and he might be with his cellmates pretty soon. He got a new show coming up, you know, Celebrity Eyes, and he may be singing like a jaybird. Okay, police moved from approaching it as a potential hate crime to a hoax real fast. And the detectives and the commanders, they showed how they had a team of detectives working hard to crack this case, because not only did they want to know what was going on, but they were pissed they had to put so much attention to it. And then it says on January 29th, after he had reported all of that, he had went to the hospital where they had to further, you know, interview him about this stuff, and they saw he wasn't really hurt, and that this all didn't seem right. It was out of place. It just didn't make sense. Didn't pass the smell test, and they saw he didn't suffer major injuries, and that it was likely self-inflicted. Now, they started a full-scale investigation, and they had said they took it serious, but they took it serious in the fact that they were pissed and wanted to prove him wrong for wasting their time. And they noticed early on the 2 people on the surveillance camera near the attack. And so here's a map of all of the movements that they can track from camera to camera. Okay, it was only a small portion that was out of camera, but as soon as they left that, they were back on camera. So, and they could track them from one camera to the next, track them to getting into this vehicle, see that vehicle's license plate, contact them. They got the receipts. These fools left a paper trail a mile long. Okay, and so then Jussie was in trouble. Okay, the noose was literally tightening around his neck. And so the video did not capture the actual incident, but they wanted to know what was going on, because it was likely to them a staged attack that they was trying to have captured. You know, he's an actor. He's trying to have all his work captured on film. And so the detectives interviewed more than 100 people and reviewed footage from about 35 police pod cameras and 20 private security to track the movements. That's 55 cameras that they were caught on. 55 cameras. You're busted. Okay, and then they first determined that the 2 men fled on foot after the attack, ran towards the Chicago River. Okay, and it's so obvious what they were doing. They followed them the whole way, and tracked them down. Then they realized that the footage had showed that the men got into a cab, and they tracked that, and then they found that about 15 minutes later they got out the cab a few blocks away from their home. I mean, these dudes are just dumb. The three of them, the three amigos, they couldn't put nothing together to save their life. They couldn't get out of a wet paper bag with the way they got this story. The police backtracked all of these movements, found the Uber a few blocks away that they had took, their apartment, all of this stuff, scene of the planned attack, just so much. And it's embarrassing and insulting that these dudes did this and tried to think the public wouldn't know. The taxis even had a video inside that captured them inside, flagging it and riding in the back seat. These fools didn't even have enough sense to get on their own car. Okay, at 2 a.m. they were waiting for Smollett. Okay, and he didn't arrive on time because he was late getting there, and this footage seeing them waiting on a park bench. He didn't make it on time, but he was trying his best. Okay, he tried, but as we see, he was a little delayed. All right, he must have already knew what was going down. And so the Uber records were the lead in helping investigators identify the two men. If they would have never took this Uber, they probably would have got away with this. But taking those cabs and the Uber, they tracked those license plates down. Those Uber drivers are not about to lie for them. Okay, and so police determined the two men went to O'Hare Airport and had a flight to Nigeria. Round trip tickets was purchased, and that they were going to return on February 13th. So they basically had all the information. They just wasn't releasing it to the public because they didn't want to tip their hand. Smart poker player. And then while they waited for them, they executed over 50 search warrants and subpoenas, including for phones, social media records, phone records. Smollett, he had spoken to the brothers an hour before and after the incident took place. So they knew all of this. You know, how could you be talking to them? They didn't even have burner phones. They asked for an attorney once they were picked up, and after speaking with the clients, the attorney told them something smelled fishy. All right, and it wasn't no fish wish with cheese. It was this damn story. And so Smollett, yeah, he was looking a little confused because he thought people were just going to blindly believe him. But the attorney had told her that the clients were actually victims in the case, and they had allowed them to interview. And that's when they started to show that this was going in a different direction. And then they began to cooperate with the police and tell them all the details and everything that was going down. They told them after the two men were in custody for 47 hours that they were released with no charges because they weren't suspects. They were actually witnesses, and they were telling everything about the $3,500 that he tried to write a check for. I mean, how stupid can you be? He didn't have enough sense to at least withdraw the money from the bank. I mean, you know, and then they later obtained that check and from the bank and stuff, and he was gonna pay them another $500 when they returned. So all this was worth $4 grand for him to pay them. I mean, they are idiots. They should have known the risk that they were going through and what he was involving them in, and for $3,500 and an extra $500, it wasn't worth it. February 18th, police scheduled an appointment with the grand jury to lock in the witness statements, but Smollett's attorneys tried to, you know, delay it, saying they had new evidence, but they didn't have new evidence, and so they went ahead with the grand jury testimony without the new evidence because he didn't have any new evidence. I guess he thought this was going to be like an episode of Empire. They could write in something. Police officially classified him as a suspect for filing the false police reports. Detectives met with his attorneys to arrange for him to turn himself in, and at 5 a.m. he turned himself in. I guess he wanted to avoid traffic because there was a lot of people wanted to see him, but they were waiting when he came out. Now, some people say, what could this possibly mean for Empire? Okay, a lot of people don't realize that the reason Empire was you know, not that Lucius didn't give him the empire, it's because he was a liar. No, but seriously, a lot of people didn't like Empire anymore because of the extracurricular activities he had going on. It was starting to get out of control. A lot of people say they stopped watching after season 2, and they said that a lot of the scenes that this show was written on was actually based off of Lee Daniels' life. Okay, and Fox is trying to be cautious with the show. They said they're going to evaluate the situation and consider their options. They don't want to jump into judgment on what they're going to do because, you know, they still consider him a good part of the show, I guess. I don't know. But it was really built around Terrence Howard and Taraji. Now, they said that Smollett, because he's, you know, musical inclined, is a big part of it, and that Lee Daniels put his own childhood experiences into the show for him, like getting thrown in the garbage can and wearing women's clothes. And so Lee Daniels really liked him, and, you know, they viewed Jamal's storylines as a high point and break new ground, like dating an HIV positive gay man. And so a lot of that type of stuff was turning off the black community from the show, though, actually. So a lot of people that I know said they didn't like that. And so Smollett is also the most important according to them because he sings, whereas Taraji and Lucius don't really do anything, and Andre, and it's just him and Hakeem that do the music. And so they don't want to lose him because they don't know what's going to happen. But this could not be that bad of a loss, and they could overcome it like other shows, and it may work out great. But Empire, like it says, is down 15% from last year in the 18 to 49 demographic. People are not watching it as much as they used to. Now, it just so happens that they got a situation to write him off perfectly, which is that they could make him ride off in the sunset with his Wu-Tang Kai, or they could have him be the one that's in the casket. So, we'll see what they choose to do. It is interesting, and I know we all can't wait. It's going to start back out in March, so we'll be seeing pretty soon. He was upset about his salary and net worth compared to the other co-stars, but he doesn't realize he don't have the body of work that everybody else does. He makes the same as Andre and Hakeem, but other than that, he can't compare with Lucius and Cookie. We all knew what his story was full of, but this is the wrong way to get more money. Okay? He should have kept doing movies and other projects when the show was down. He's trying to do his music. We see he the first one to buy a felony. He trying to do the music. He wanted to be the gay Tupac. Okay? But he don't have anything in common with Tupac except he may go to jail. They say Tupac was raped in jail. He may not be raped in jail. He may, you know, cooperate. But other than that, he better use that prison wallet like, you know, the little plus-size superhero in Deadpool and pack a shank. All right? So, I hope he got that prison wallet nice and wide. This is his interview by the cops.
But you don't remember?
Yeah, it was 12:15. Exactly. If I'm not mistaken, it was.
Now you see something? Now you see now. You done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
I see
what I'm saying?
I thought.
No, so, you know what I'm saying? That you done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
As I conclude this video, I'm going to leave it with a real note by the Chicago PD.
That the families of gun violence in this city got this much attention, because that's who really deserves the amount of attention that we're giving to this particular incident. So this morning, I come to you not only as the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, but also as a black man who spent his entire life living in the city of Chicago. I know the racial divide that exists here. I know how hard it's been for our city and our nation to come together. And I also know the disparities, and I know the history. This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose?
That was well said. I'm not one to say I believe everything about the police, but I actually don't believe everything about what everybody say. I always listen and analyze and, understand and try to, think what's going on. And now it's new evidence that's came out that says that the brothers were selling him Molly, probably popping X pills in his booty hole. Who knows what type of freaky stuff they was getting into. And it looks like he's actually going to get that 12 inches he was looking for on the night of the incident. I think Jussie bit off more than he can chew, which is something that was probably hard for him to do. With that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.